live in a world of technology. We're always connected. Everything is based on technology. What do you do when your technology breaks down? You call Digital Solutions. Located on Wesley Street in Greenville, Digital Solutions Technology Partners is there to get you fixed up. From business support to home computer repair, Digital Solutions Technology Partners will get your tech issues resolved. Visit us online at www.techresolve.com or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/DSTPI. You can call our office at 903-259-6418.
Okay, it's 6 o'clock and I will call the meeting to order. First item, let the record reflect that Jerry and Brent are missing. They've notified us ahead of time, and Cedric may be tied up in work, but we do have a quorum. Our invocation will be given by Reverend Ron Holmes, United Presbyterian Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. If you're wearing a hat, please remove it, and please silence your phones if you haven't already.
Let us pray. Almighty God, yesterday we stood in awesome wonder of your creative power and the majesty of your creation. And now today, we come before you in this time and place for the work of this community of Greenville, Texas. And that may seem small and insignificant in comparison, but it's really not, because you deeply love and care for all of your creation. You've given us governing bodies to do our work, and we're grateful for that. We ask your blessing upon our city council tonight and all who are gathered here, your wisdom to be present and active in this room, that all that is said and done would be according to your will and purpose for us. We give you thanks. Pray that you are glorified in our actions tonight. Amen.
Amen. Please join me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, at this point, we have no presentations. Next item would be citizens to be heard. And citizens are invited to address the council on topics not already scheduled for a public hearing. And we have 3 of those for tonight. Please complete a citizen comment card presented to the city secretary if you haven't already. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes and should conduct themselves in a civil manner. Our city attorney will help keep track of the time, and please monitor when he puts a sign up, how much time you've got or whether your time is out. The city council cannot take action on items not listed on the agenda in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act. Concerns will be addressed by the staff. They may be placed on future agenda or addressed by some other course of response. Carol, do we have anybody?
Quinn.
And when you come up, please give your name and address.
Okay. Hi, my name is Queen Giddings, and I live at 3503 High Meadow Lane in Greenville, Texas. And I'm new to the area. I recently retired and I moved from Allen. One of the things I want to address was some of the streets repairs and a lot of overgrown, not manicured yards, whether they're vacant or whatever. It just, to me, in my opinion, it makes the city look bad. We do have a lot of traffic that comes through. And I noticed like on sale at 69, right there on the right side, there's overgrown grass that's been there for quite some time. So my concern is, how do we address that? Is it the citizens that owns the property? Are they responsible for that? And is it the city of Greenville, do they go after those individuals that's not maintaining, their property? Because if I don't maintain mine, I'll get something code enforcement. So, in order for all of us to live here, I think things look cosmetically pleasing. I mean, that's just my opinion. So how do we go about, or who do I need to talk to have that issue addressed? On my street, they repaired a pothole, it has to be 8 months ago, and I'm not, but anyway, it's already I think a 3-year-old could have done better, because the same pothole is there again. When they did the repair work, I was like, But anyway, it's the same issue. So those are, my concerns really is what is the best way, or who do I need to address, or what is the council or the city FC doing to address those issues? Because we all live here. We want things to look nice. I mean, it doesn't have to be new, but it does need to look in a certain manner.
Okay, let me address, and I can do this because I'm getting facts. First of all, we do have a street repair where we look at certain roads each year,
Okay.
and that's what we put money in the budget to resurface those, fill problems, things like this. So that's part of the regular budget.
Okay.
The city manager is responsible. All of the departments within the city work for the city manager. The city manager works for the city council. So on a particular problem on a particular street, your best bet would be to contact the city manager, and he will contact the appropriate department and take the action that they deem appropriate. But the council I cannot tell Public Works to go do something. I can't tell somebody else to do that.
Mm-hmm.
We tell the city manager, make it happen, and we hold him accountable, but he holds the rest of the departments accountable because they all report to him.
Okay. So I didn't really know, this is the first time I ever had to, address a city council meeting, and I really wasn't sure what actual steps I need to take. I didn't want to be calling the phone and be complaining, to the city. It was just really a concern because there is a lot of traffic, 69, and when people are coming through, I would at least want them to feel like, well, this is a nice area. This is where I would want to retire. This is where I want my family to live. Because we do have a lot of nice architectural buildings, but if they don't, they just need to be spruced up, maybe a little bit. So that was, my main concern. I really just wasn't sure who to address about that. And I'm pretty sure you guys see it because you drive up through Greenville.
It's not a brand new subject.
Okay, well, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Does anybody else wish to speak? All right. Nothing heard. I'll close the citizens to be heard. Next is item 6, consent calendar. Carol?
City Council meeting minutes from August 8th. Resolutions approving bid received on property located at 3946 Lee Street and 2407 Beaches Street. Ordinance authorizing final payment to Tricon Services for the construction of the 2017 water improvement project on Stonewall Street from Carroll to Mockingbird.
Okay, does anybody have any questions or comments on those? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve as submitted.
So moved.
All right, James, second. John, seconds. Please vote. And it passes 4-0. All right, next item is item 7A, and this is a public hearing on the proposed tax increase for fiscal year 2017-2018. At this time, I will open the public hearing on the city taxes. Does anybody wish to speak in favor of? Anyone wish to speak against? Nothing heard at this point. I will close the public hearing. Item 7B is public hearing on Texas Capital Fund Main Street improvements. Brett Doyle, want to talk about that?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor and City Council. The Texas Department of Agriculture announced a round of grants that are available specifically for Texas Main Street cities. The grants are predominantly to be used for sidewalks and lighting, ADA sidewalks and lighting. Whatever site is selected must be in the central area zoning district, which is on the map there. The City of Greenville is hoping to make application. Applications are due October 16th. The application process requires that a public hearing be held to encourage and allow citizens to make their district their citizen input. And that's what this is for.
Okay. Any council member have a question?
And if we do make application, that application will come to you at a later date for approval.
So all we're having is a public hearing tonight.
Public hearing for
We're
their,
not voting on anything.
correct.
Does anybody wish to speak on this? The public hearing is open. Anybody in favor of? Anybody opposed? We got a real talkative crowd tonight. At least go back to sleep. At this point, I'll close item 7B on the public hearing. We have item 7C, public hearing, consideration and action on an ordinance authorizing a zone change from agriculture to single-family 3 on a lot located at 8700 Cedar Creek Drive and 200 Traders Road. Steve?
I just got these, didn't get them in my packets while I'm handing those out. But basically, this is a zoning request for a single-family 3 zoning, from agriculture to single-family. This is at Traders, and it's not a very good picture there. Let me just show this on screen. He's proposing to build at the current time, Cedar Creek Lane is to your bottom. Traders will be off to the right. To the left is the Cedar Creek addition, Kiowa, Cheyenne. What he's proposing to do is build a phase 1, a 30 lot, single family 3 that would match what's already in Cedar Creek there. He would build a temporary cul-de-sac at the end of it, and then what I've just handed you there would be the second phase of it would be completed out. Where you see the blue light is about where this one stops. That'd be phase 1, and then the rest of it sweeps on around there and then ends up with a road back to Traders would be the phase 2. But he's requesting SF3 zoning on these lots, and that they'll be identical to what's in Cedar Creek. It does meet the comprehensive master plan to a T. Staff is recommending approval of it. I sent out 26 letters to adjoining property owners. I got 1 letter back that was in favor of the petition. I didn't get any against or any back through the mail. So this went to the Planning and Zoning Commission last night, and They recommended approval of this petition by a vote of 5-0. And this is, just kind of a follow suit of what's already out there.
So what we're talking about tonight is strictly the phase one.
Phase 1, yes, sir.
Which,
What you'll be seeing,
as I look at this chart, it looks like it goes through.
see the blue,
lot-
see the lot we've got outlined in blue?
You've got this thing right here.
Yeah,
So it's the lot
That's
spread in
about,
this
that's
area.
correct, that's correct.
Okay.
And then the rest of them will be phase 2. You'll be seeing this again. No, I take that back, you won't be seeing it, it just goes to P and Z, but it's not platted yet. Mr. Ellis wanted to get his zoning first before he spent the money to do the plat, which they're working on that, so.
If this is approved and if he moves on to phase 2, and I don't know, has he got a phase 3 or is it?
No, he's gonna do the rest of it, finish the street out and curve it back up to Traders, that's gonna be a phase 2.
Okay, so he would, at that point, he'd go back to the P and Z and then he'd come back here for approval of phase 2.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anybody have any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody wish to speak in favor of this?
Hi, council. Oh, sorry. My name is Jonathan Ellis, 11804 Blackhawk Drive, Frisco, Texas, 75033. I'm here before y'all today because I guess I am the president of ATGG Holdings. Nothing mysterious. That's the initials of our kids, my 2 kids and my brother's kids. I'm also proud to say I just started my 15th year in education. So hopefully this will help my retirement in the future also. But
If not, you can get a job by advertising on Facebook.
I'll check my phone here in a little bit. But, absolutely.
Sorry. Go ahead.
As Steve said, it resembles everything that is around it. We have built homes just south of that. I actually just walked 2 properties before coming here, and needless to say, we're thrilled to be here. We love being here, and I hope you guys will approve this.
Down in the Cedar Creek area, you've built how many houses?
We have 10 homes, Cheyenne, just the street just south.
Okay.
10 total, yes, sir. All sold, and we actually have a mom and 2 kids moving in hopefully next week.
Now, the properties that are listed here, does that include this block up there that says Ellis Homestead?
It does not, no, sir.
It does not.
So that there was an old home there that we knocked down aesthetically, but it does not belong in that, no, sir.
Okay. Any questions?
No, sir, no questions.
Any questions? All right. Any other, thank you. Anybody else wish to speak in favor of? Anyone wish to speak against? Okay, at this time, I will close the public hearing. Do we need to vote to approve this?
Yes, this is zoning change, yeah.
Okay. So at this time, I will entertain a motion to approve this item.
I'll make that motion.
All right, John,
Second.
Holly. Take a second. Please vote. And it passes 4-0. You'll have these 30 lots filled up next week? You're not gonna slack off, are you? All right, thank you. Item 8A, consideration action on an ordinance approving funding for the Dallas Symphony Orchestra, Drug-Free Greenville, Keep Greenville Beautiful, and Senior Center Resource Public Transit. At this time, what we will do on that is we will vote for each one of those individually rather than as a blanket. So on that, John, you've got it.
Okay, yeah, we had initially come into an agreement on some amounts. Drug-Free Greenville had requested 6,500. And we had thought to fund that. Keep Greenville Beautiful had requested 10, and we had agreed to fund that. We went into a second meeting on Dallas Symphony Orchestra and Senior Centers and Resources. And we had agreed to fund Dallas Symphony Orchestra the 5,000 requested to keep them afloat. And Senior Citizen Resources, I think we're gonna just try and keep them at the amount we did last year, 18.8.
All right. Is there anybody here from Senior Center Resource and Public Transit? All right. If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Could we go back before we vote again and just review for us the increase or decrease, or is it staying the same for each of these before we take a vote?
Well, we can do that on a one by one.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah,
as we
that's
do,
fine.
as we do, I like to do.
My understanding, what I got from the city manager when asked the question is last year it was 18,800 per last year. Is that correct, Sue?
6.
And that was for the Senior Center Resource and Public Transit. I wish there was somebody here because I had a few questions about that. Anybody have any questions or comments on that?
18.6 or 18.8?
18.6.
18.6.
And this year, once again, this year we're proposing how much?
Well, I thought it was 18.8, so I had bumped 18.8. So let's go with the 18.6 instead.
So we're staying the same.
Stay the same as last year.
Now, does anybody have any comments or concerns or questions on that before we take a vote? I do, in the fact that I continually get feedback that the connection is not performing on time. People are calling and saying, I've got a doctor's appointment, or I have to be at work, or I have to be someplace. And there's a great amount of complaints about people not being picked up on time or not being delivered on time. The other thing is my initial understanding, and I could be totally wrong on this, but I understand that senior center is funded by state funds, state, federal, and county. And the question I had is how much of their effort is, if we give them an 8.6, what would be the percentage of money that would represent, and of that percentage, how much do they do within the city of Greenville? But since there's nobody here to answer that, unless anybody.
Well, could we table the connection? I think Mr. Allenball is still in charge of that.
Yes, it is.
And so wouldn't it be prudent to wait and give him an opportunity to come and let him address those concerns, and let's discuss it before we accept or reject any amount? Just put it on for next time.
Yeah, we can do that. The way that you do that is just to mark through that section of the existing ordinance. Or well, we can have Carol just change the ordinance to leave that off and then put a new item on for next time. Because to table it the way that it's written, you'd have to table all of it.
So we can't just take a portion?
Now, you can vote to fund the other three, but next or 2 weeks from now to fund them.
But what I'm saying is we can't postpone any individual without affecting all of them? Because that's what she's saying is postpone.
No. Well, she was talking about tabling it.
Just
And
that
to-
one.
Yeah, what you can do is just vote to fund the other three, and then set another item for the next agenda just for their funding. That'll look exactly like this, except it'll just have their one and not the other three.
Okay,
You have to do that because the charter requires certain time frames for a vote or referendum, and so to keep it clean, you have to do it in two separate ordinances.
so do we have to vote on tabling that part, or can we just go ahead and?
You don't have to vote on that. That can be tabled without a vote.
The attorney said so. All right, so we will table that and address it hopefully at the next meeting. Drug-free Greenville. My understanding is last year they got $6,350.
Correct. They requested 6,500 this year.
And is that your recommendation?
That was our recommendation.
Does anybody have any comments on that or questions? If not,
Mayor,
yes.
so is the council recommending above what we budgeted? Is what we budgeted is not to exceed? Are you recommending to exceed what we budgeted? I'm just asking question.
I don't think it was was their intent? John, you
I-
were ahead of that. If you need clarification after.
I need clarification because I don't know what was budgeted.
Well, we,
For this.
if you look at our budget, we budgeted certain amounts for different organizations. If you go over that, you are exceeding. What we budgeted means not to exceed. You don't have to give them all that money, but cap it to that amount. But what you're recommending is exceeding what we budgeted in our budget. It's not very much, but exceeding our budget.
25,100, I believe, was the total.
Yeah, for this particular one was $6,350.
That was last year. You said the
No, it's
total
in-
budget was?
No. This is in this budget right now that is gonna end September 31st. We have new allocation is gonna start October 1st of 2017. What you are allocating is in the present budget that ends September 31st. Is it made it more complicated, huh?
Now,
No,
what's
this is
it?
for next year's
Right
budget.
here.
This would be for next year's budget. They're talking about amounts tonight, but it wouldn't go into effect until October 1st, is what the ordinance says.
Is it for next year budget?
Yes.
They
Next year's
haven't
budget.
approved the budget yet. How can they make that allocation?
Did they not? They haven't been paid yet this year, this calendar year?
I thought this drag to this point that they get the money for present budget year.
They already approved that.
This is to, the ordinance would be to allow your office to get into a contract for this for next budget year. That's what they're voting on doing, is to tell your office to do, which you
But the
guys.
council hasn't approved our budget. How can, they can preempt our budget when our budget hasn't been approved? But nonetheless, we budgeted the same amount, $6,350 for next year.
And what page is that on?
Actually, is in,
I looked in the index.
is a little bit complicated. Is in non-department and some of it is in marketing. You don't have the detailed budget, but it's in non-department. So,
Page 113.
right. And then you don't have the detailed budget, but some of it is budgeted in marketing and some of it in administration.
If you look on page 89, at the very top in non-department, there's in contracted services, there's a, you can't see it, but it's in a marketing line item, in for drug-free Greenville. I believe there was 6,300 for their operations, and then I think 250 for another drug-free Greenville, the walk-off belief, the.
No, that was when we contribute for their advertisement on their event. It's not a
Right.
cash out.
Right.
We're on page 89 in those details. I'm not-
Contracted services, that line item for 18,851,
Contract services,
do you see
It's
that?
embedded in that
It's
number.
embedded in the 18,851,
okay, so right now it says 18,851.
correct, and the 6,300 is in that 18. And there's some other things in there too.
Like what?
I can provide you with a breakdown of that if you need one. I can. I don't have it.
Can you send that to all the council
I
members?
sure can. I'll do it
And
as
so
soon
that
as-
we can see how, what
Mhm.
this is and how we do it, and I would recommend that we put this on hold until next meeting so that we know what we're talking about. But this is for the 18, 19, or 17,
17, 18.
17, 18.
Jump too far.
They've already got their money for this.
Correct. Y'all
So
already
this-
approved
This is for
16,
the budget we're working on now, what they would get in the coming year.
Correct. What we would build into the budget.
So is there a problem if we put this until
No.
the next meeting?
No, because you haven't voted on the budget.
We won't vote on that till
Okay.
September 26th.
So would you send each of the council members where we can find this information, or if it's in a line
Sure.
item like
I'll
that?
send you
Something that'll break out so that we know what's
Sure.
proposed?
certain, I can do that quickly. That'd
So
be no
what does
trouble.
the $70,000 in supplies represent? What does the debt, $268,096, and administrative expenses for $343,600? Where's all that money going?
That include, it's a lot of different things. I'll give you a breakdown. It includes our sales tax payback that we have to pay back for to the comptroller. We include that in there. Community services, the 18,600 is down in administrative expenses. It's anything that doesn't pertain to a department that we have in the general fund. So I will get you a breakdown. I mean, it's several different items, but I will send you a breakdown of each one of those, no problem.
I mean, is that what you call embedded?
I mean, everything's kind of, because it's non-department, it doesn't pertain to any particular department of the general fund, so it just gets lumped into the non-department section of the budget and the way our system is. So,
We send you the details.
I can, once I send you the detail, I promise you it'll make perfect sense. It will, because there's marketing line items in there, there's contracted services, there's different stuff, everything's broken down. It's just really compact in this budget book. Otherwise, your budget book would be like 400 pages. If I gave you every little detail. So
Thank you.
I don't think you'd want that, but if you want it, I certainly can do it.
Well, you're just telling us it's all kosher, right?
It's all in there, yes, and I will
reasonable, and
certainly,
it's prudent, and it's
yes, ma'am.
prepared, keeping
Yes.
the taxpayer in mind without
Yes.
giving us 400 pages.
And whatever you guys want to build into those line items, that's what I take direction from you guys in building that into that budget part
It's
of it.
just hard
so.
to know what really there is and there isn't, but
I understand.
I trust you, and I appreciate.
But I will send you that detail, no problem. That'll be easy to do.
Alright.
If you need
Alright.
detail on any of those, let me know.
Please send that out, and
Okay.
I'll entertain a motion to put this on, table it until next week.
So moved.
Mayor, can I make a comment?
Go ahead.
I heard, did you mention symphony too? Did you mention symphony?
No, I never got a chance to get that.
We didn't get that far, but yeah, he did mention.
Okay, we, in our budget, we do not have any allocation for symphony. However, last year from hotel occupancy tax, there was a distribution of $3,000 towards symphony. We need to make sure that we don't mix apple and oranges, because if there is any contribution, shouldn't be from general fund, should be from hotel occupancy tax. But we do not have any funding for symphony in our general fund. I just want to make sure that we don't get into.
Okay, now I'd like to make a comment. I'm a little bit frustrated. As head of the non-governmental organization subcommittee, I've held 2 meetings already. We've called in 2 set of people to give us more in-depth requirements on where they get their funding from. So far, I've made 2 separate reports, and now I'm told, I don't know what I'm talking about, because I don't know where the funding came from. Now, if I'm gonna be the lead of this committee, I need to know where the funding's coming from, how much it is, how much I'm allowed to come up here and say. Otherwise, if you've already got it in your budget and I'm not allowed to go over that budget, there's no sense having a committee. You just go ahead and allow that much. Now, last year, you only had 3 people report and ask for money. This year, you've got 4. You opened it up. So if you've got more, you're gonna have to give out more money. So I need more information. I need to know where it's coming from, how much is allotted, how much I can spend.
Okay.
Otherwise, there's no sense having a committee.
I think,
Where is that on?
no,
How much we're given.
Well, or is it just embedded, so where is it, contracted services?
The-
No, that would
The hot funds. What we're discussing is
be Page 129.
the hot funds, and that is a separate voted on item, isn't it? Is distribution or
no, the $75,000 is
I
gonna
know,
go
but
to the.
as far as giving money to the symphony or to the museum or something like that we've done in the past, isn't that brought up to the council as a
No,
separate
no.
vote?
So it's not on page 129, it's not included in the budget?
No,
Money.
what Mayor is saying, we do have $75,000 hotel occupancy tax that we're gonna give it to the tourism board for their distribution. Then last year, Symphony requested money from that $75,000. What mayor is saying, if you want any other contribution towards Symphony from different fund, you need to make a line item, so we add it to our budget.
And so where is that $75,000 here in this brochure?
It's in Main Street.
Main Street, not under hotel. Correct. Not under 129. Okay, so Main Street.
One more item for Mr. Turner. I think each committee has a contact person. I think when y'all want to meet, y'all need to see the secretary, know that the contact person be present at your meeting. Then there is no ambiguity. I believe at the last meeting, you didn't have a staff person for your meeting. But we make sure from now on that the staff person is present.
All right.
I'd like to get one more statistic if we could for this, for the Dallas Symphony, and for anything else that's funded through the hotel motel tax. I'd like to know how much has to be spent to generate, because we're talking about these people generating money and then we're paying these organizations. I'd like to know how much has to be spent in this town to generate $1. So that if we say we're going to give X amount of dollars to an organization, Dallas Symphony or whoever else, I'd like to know how much actual money needs to be spent in Greenville through that event to replace, at least break even with the expenditures we're making for that organization. I've made myself clear.
Yeah, but I think, James, that each of those organizations submit a minutes that describe, we spent this amount of money, we had this amount of money allocated, we've spent this amount of money on the following items, we had these number of people in the hotel and they've gone and checked on that. And that's in the minutes that we get on a very regular basis.
Realize that I want to know how much money that's got to be spent. Like, just since we're on Dallas Symphony, let's just stay on Dallas Symphony right now. I'd like to know how much money needs to be spent in Greenville to generate what they're asking for on this and any other organization.
What do you mean? Are you
We're saying that we're saying this money's
being.
being.
DSO over here?
I'm talking anything that we do, if we're paying for it with hotel motel money. If we give $100 to, just say $100, use that. How much are we expected to be spent in Greenville due to that event to raise, at least break even with that $100 we're giving away to replenish the fund?
I don't think that analysis.
We can't come up with that number?
I think that what we do is that it's identified and the council makes a decision based on how we distribute out the hotel occupancy tax. And it's based upon the number of hotel occupants, heads in the beds. But it's not a matter that the Symphony has got to raise $10,000 in order to get $10,000. We allocate the money out of that because there's a lot of events that bring people.
Right.
So
we've got the right
ball game, and we don't give any hot funds for it.
We've got the right to spend more than what they produce. I'd just like to know how much is estimated to be produced by the event versus what we're paying out. Because I go back to the lady back in the back, I've got the same concerns about a lot of things needs in Greenville, from streets to yards to everything else, sewers and waters. I'd like to know every event that we're using, and we're saying, we always say heads to beds produces, revenue. I'd like to know how much has to be spent during that event. Are we breaking even? Are we losing money on it or what?
I think that in their annual report or in their event report, and they report on individual events that occurred, they identify how much money was raised, how much money was spent, and how many people were in heads and beds. It's not to my knowledge, it's not a criteria that you've got to have this amount, so we're not going to give you any heads and beds. It gives you a report, and we get those on a very regular basis.
I'd just like to know how profitable each event is, or we anticipate it to be, and how profitable the last one was before I'm going to approve money for the coming year. With as many needs, ma'am, as what you've identified tonight.
I don't understand what you're asking for, I'm sorry.
If we're going to donate, this, again, use Dallas Symphony, whatever the amount. John, what's the amount right now that you're looking at? $5,000. we're gonna use heads to beds hotel money for it. How much had to be spent in the hotels?
No, that was general fund.
General fund?
Yeah, that had nothing to do
I
with
thought we said on the Dallas
No, no,
Symphony,
no.
we're going,
We're getting mixed things here.
that's what I'm saying.
because What Masood said is the symphony is normally paid for out of the hot fund.
Right.
What John is saying is was also brought up as part of the general
We're
fund.
using the other funds. So I'd like to know if we're using hotel money and whatever, I'd like to know how much has to be spent to generate the dollar that we're giving away.
Okay, if you use hotel occupancy tax, there is a requirement that the money should be spent if head goes to bed, so to speak, basically go to hotel. That's all the requirement, they report, they got X amount of money and so many heads went to bed on basis of record. If you give him the general fund, there is no requirement. It's like you giving free, drug-free Greenville money. There is no requirement. You give him $10,000 from general fund, that's it.
But go back to the heads to bed is what I'm worried about, the heads to beds, the hot funds. On the hot funds, when we give it away, how much has to be generated? How much money has to be spent to generate a dollar of the hot funds, is what I'm trying to say. To put a dollar in the hot funds account, hotel, motel tax, how much has to be spent?
Well, minimum, each heads to beds generate like 7 or 8% tax. That's given.
That's charged by.
Anything else they spend is going to be food or purchasing through sales tax, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the fundamental of the hotel occupancy tax is heads in beds and doesn't go any further than that. Doesn't say, okay, the heads has to go to bed, but then they have to go to restaurant, then they have to go to Bell can buy something. That doesn't do that.
So the
just,
hotel, we're looking at 7 to 8 cents percent.
Right.
Charged by the hotel
By the
to
hotel.
furnish.
So it gives me something to look at then before we
I'll send
make
you,
a
I'll
donation.
send you.
But
what
the
I-
general fund doesn't have any requirement like you giving drug-free Greenville $10,000. That's it.
I've just got a real concern with subsidizing. If it's not making money for us, and it's not paying for itself, I think we need to take a look at what we're giving.
All right, at the present time, I have a motion to take item 8A and table it until next week. I'm looking for a second. Holly moved. Do I have a second? Second. John? All right, please vote. You're not fast enough.
Let it clear it through. Okay.
Clear, let's try it again. Vote again.
Frustrated.
Voted for.
Agree.
All right, we're
Agree.
four for all.
Agree.
All right, moving on to item 9A, consideration and action on a resolution authorizing submission of an application for grant funding for rifle-resistant body armor. And I believe this is going to be presented by Lieutenant Coles.
Mayor and council, thank you. I'm really here just to answer any questions that you have. This grant is no match, no strings. It's offered by the Office of the Governor Criminal Justice Division Program. They're offering up $25 million to law enforcement agencies in the state of Texas, and we have made application. One of the reasons we're here before you is because the process requires a resolution from the council to move forward.
Okay, as I read this, we've got 55 sworn officers, and I believe this amount of money would provide for 27 vests, is that correct?
The vests are rotated out of service. They have a 5-year warranty by the manufacturer. We generally do about 1/5 of our patrol division, and I have broken down the tactical vest to the soft body armor portion of those vests into 2 groups, And so we, after 5 years, when those come due in whatever group, I'll do half or a little more than half, depending. This year, it'll come to 27 pieces of body armor.
So my original statement was there's 55 officers, and what this grant would do would be buy 27.
Correct.
Okay. Is there an advantage? I understand we're in a 5-year manufacturer cycle, and one of the things that concerns me is we've seen the kind of problems that we have with not very good citizens out there shooting at police officers. So I'm concerned that, yes, I recognize that maybe the others have to go through a 5-cycle period. I would hate to think that we've got 28 officers out there that have older vests that are not going to protect them from a high-powered rifle, but these new ones are. And my question is, and maybe the city manager will have to answer this, could we buy, if we get this grant, could we buy the remaining 28 using Caesar fund money?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Would you think that's a good idea or not?
It will be a misuse of our Caesar funds. The armor that we have, or this grant, was only good for 1 year, has to be spent in that period of time. The other 4/5 of our body armor is still in warranty. It does not need to be replaced. We also, in addition to
Now,
that.
let me ask you a question right on there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we're buying these new vests because they provide better protection than what the old ones do.
The new vests that we bought will be replacing the vests that are going out of warranty.
And they provide better protection to our police officers. Because
They will be the same level of body armor that we currently have. We are only replacing a set number of body armor pieces that will be expiring, that have reached their 5 years of warranty by manufacturer standards.
Okay, I guess I misunderstood that. I thought this was to upgrade to a higher level, provide a better equipment of soft body armor.
I guess what Lieutenant Cole is saying, though, it goes back to the core of we can use the seizure fund for something new, but not replacing something we have. Is that correct?
Well, the seizure funds and this grant are two different things.
No.
I understand that. What I'm saying is this grant, if it's approved, provides protection for half our officers.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is this a better soft body armor than what they currently have?
Now, we will buy a body armor equivalent to what we currently use.
So the body armor that the police officers have right now is the best that they need.
It is a level 3, which is what our standard is in our profession. Maybe we're not on the same sheet of music yet. Every 5 years, a piece of body armor, when it's from the manufacturer's day, is going to expire. We buy in segments. We replace about 1/5 at a time, which is expiring. This grant came up. Our Department of Justice grant went away. It was helping us purchase body armor. This is an opportunity to use some funds that are available from the state to replace what we will replace anyway, without costing us money out of our budget or seizure funds if we get it.
So the issue is, like Lieutenant Cole says, if we do not get something brand new that we did not have before, then we cannot use the seizure fund. But if we get something new that we did not have, then is eligible. I guess Lieutenant Cole is saying we just using the replacement, not getting something new.
We will be getting something
I
new
know,
in this
but
grant
it's not a
funds.
new technology or.
No, it's not a new
new,
technology.
right.
It's
So
the
it's
same
the same.
technology.
It's just.
And there may be some terms in this grant that is misleading you a bit, but it is going to be equivalent to what we currently use.
As I read through it, I was under the impression that this was providing better protection than what our police officers have right now. But what you're saying is it's the same protection. It's just these items are up for replacement because of age.
Correct.
Thank you. I apologize for the confusion.
No problem.
This I understood. Glad to see you get it.
All right.
Is there any questions or comments?
this protect y'all, like what happened in Dallas?
I was about to mention, I thought the mayor was going somewhere where he was saying better protection. We were actually able to purchase the rifle plates, the level 4 rifle plates, a throw-over vest that goes in addition to the patrol officer's vest, and at the same time replace our tactical officer's rifle plate. That's a large plate that protects the trauma area with a level 4. It is the best that's on the market.
So what I need is approval. Any other questions? Okay. I need a motion to approve a resolution to authorize the submission of an application.
So moved.
All right. James?
Second.
Holly, seconds. All right. Vote, and then she'll turn on the light. And we have a four. Okay, next is Resolution 9B. And this is consideration action on a resolution for the city of Greenville. And it has to do with the Texas Municipal Power Agency. If you'll recall, we approved, I think it was a little over a year ago, a joint operating agreement. Then later we approved a Amendment 1 because it was predicated upon the sale of the generation. And where that has fallen through, now we're in the Amendment 2. And I'll let Juice come up and explain.
Mayor and council members, the joint operating agreement, as the mayor mentioned, was approved by the 4 cities last year and amended one time since then. The joint operating agreement is pretty much a living document. It's always being gone through, and new things are identified that haven't been addressed in the power sales agreement, which dates back to the late 70s, as well as the joint operating agreement. We come across things that we still haven't addressed completely. This amendment that is before you is looking at 3 or 4 different things. It provides for the sale of portions of the TMPA transmission system in a piecemeal manner while still subject to applicable bond covenants. It clarifies some provisions that has to be associated with the mine reclamation bonds that the Railroad Commission currently holds. It also clarifies dates with respect to the agency budgeting process, and finally enables seasonal operation of the generation asset, which was just recently approved by ERCOT. It also serves to give notice that we're issuing new transmission debt consistent with the 2017 refunding bonds and 2017 notes. To answer any questions that you have, I would say that all this is going before the other cities' councils within the next few weeks. Our Juice Board reviewed and approved this last week, and now we come to you for approval of the City Council.
The seasonal operation, would you expand on that, Gary? So that everybody understands what's being planned.
When you take into consideration the cost of running that generation plant, which is not only the variable cost of the fuel and transportation, but also the fixed costs associated with employee salaries, maintenance, etc. The plan is out of the money, out of the ERCOT money, about 8 or 9 months out of the year. In other words, it costs more to run the plant than you could replace the power with through the ERCOT market. So the proposal before ERCOT was to shut the plant down not later than October 17th and go through the shoulder months where the power is typically cheaper and bring the plant back next June and run it June through September.
So basically what they'll do is come the end of October of this year, around the 17th of October is the target date. They expect to be basically out of coal, and will lay off the biggest majority of the people that work down at College Station, or at Gibbons Creek. And then in June of next year, probably May, they'll start bringing people on board to go ahead and pick it up, and then it would run from June to October of the following.
That's the plan, yes, sir. And in doing so, by laying off a big portion of the people there and deferring maintenance that is not expected to be necessary, we'll cut the fixed cost by a little over half.
And I think that Juice has looked at the cost that we're paying through Gibbons Creek to get electricity here. And the Juice Board has worked hard to identify different sources of power. They've got some, you've got some wind.
We've completely replaced the Gibbons Creek generation, so that when we've opted out of generation after September 1st of next year, which means that even if the other cities choose to take our percentage and continue operating the plant, we won't have any more fixed or variable costs associated with the generation.
Right.
That's been paid off. And we replaced it with solar, wind. We have our own old steam plant as well as our new engine plant. We've also replaced it with 35 megawatts of fixed price bilateral energy from a different partner, which completely covers our needs for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I think Juice has worked hard in identifying sources of electricity that will save the ratepayers' rate, cut down on the rate, and hopefully save on our electric bill. Any other questions for Gary? All right, I will entertain a motion to approve amendment 2 to the JOA.
So moved.
Molly moves.
I'll say.
James. Second. Please vote. And it passes 4-0. Thank you, Gary. Moving on to item 10, the July 2017 financials.
Thank you, Mayor. These financials will be as of July 31st, which were 83% through the fiscal year. Through July, the general fund revenues are at $19.8 million, or 88% of expected collections. Expenditures are at $18.5 million, or 79% of budgeted expectations. Fiscal year to date, sales tax through July, collections are up $744,000, or 12.7% compared to fiscal year 2016 through July. You'll see the chart there, which reflects that. Down at the bottom, you'll see our sales tax target compared to our year-to-date actual sales tax, and we are 935 remaining sales tax collect to meet our 5.9% increase.
And we have August and September to go.
Yes, so we're well on our way. Here's your comparison cities. Current period collections for us was $632,000 for July 17, an increase of 5.59% compared to July of 16. These taxes were collected by businesses in May, reported to the state in June, and then of course received by us in July.
And is this just for July only?
Just July, correct.
This is not cumulative.
Correct. This is not year to date.
Thank you.
And then you'll see your sales tax versus your comparison cities, the city-only portion. You'll see Greenville there in the middle, getting most of the city taxes. The others are split for the 4A, 4B, all the ADCs that they have to. And then this is your history of just July. So this will give you kind of a breakdown of only the month of July. And of course, 2017 is the highest to date since 2008. Water and sewer fund revenues through July are $10.3 million, or 82% of budgeted expectations. And then hotel motel tax through July 17 has increased $35,000, or 7% over the prior year of the same time frame through July. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Any questions, comments? Okay, thank you very much. All right, moving on, we have item 11. Is there anything anybody wants to bring to the plan for the subject next week?
I'd like to continue to ask someone to join me. I know Ms. Gocher has. I still need one more to take a look at us looking at the audit, a possible audit report for this 380 agreement we have with Splash Kingdom project out there. Before we write that check coming January 1, I'd just like to still consider.
I understand that. You brought it up, it's been looked at, and only 2 of you have agreed to have it, so I don't think that's a subject we're gonna continue every week.
I'm just advertising.
Any other subjects?
I was wondering, what is the status of?
You may have.
Oh, yes, pardon me. Did the city give any money, or maybe more to the project that's on the corner of Washington and Johnson Street that has multiple unconnected meters? I heard at one time it was going to be a spaghetti.
Yeah, I'd heard it was gonna be an old Italian restaurant, and then they stopped work and.
Did the city, did we, I mean, maybe this is not proper subject right now.
No, you are correct. The only thing the city did, we did a connection. This was 4 years ago, and he came and want to build the Italian restaurant. The only thing we did, we did a free connection of water and free connection of sewer at that time. That's all the incentive that we did, and no monetary or anything like that. But we connected our water line and sewer line to the building.
But then they stopped work and didn't, do they
Well,
have
it's
to go
been-
back and get
it's been 4
permission to keep
years.
going?
The time that they came and talked to me was like they're gonna open a Italian restaurant in like 4 months, and everything was blowing and going and rush. So we did make a connection of water and sewer.
Okay, so my question is, you gave them that, they basically stopped for whatever reason, whether it was
Well,
financial.
Steve can talk to the building permit.
Well, we
raise
can
the
talk
building
about it next
permit.
time. I don't want to.
No, you can send
It's just a simple
quickly
question.
status of
Okay,
the
We're not
building
in
permit.
discussion, we're just trying to find out, do we
Well,
have to?
actually, that project started back when Philip Sanders was here. I hadn't been working here long, it's 10 years or so. We started this project several times. We made him permit several times, he had a permit. He got real serious about it this time, we thought, and that was the incentive. And you can see he's done the electrical work, he paid for it and stopped that. He's got the plumbing roughed in inside, and that's, I haven't talked to him in
So we don't,
a while.
the permit he had before is still valid.
No, sir. Once work stops on a building permit for a period longer than 6 months, you have to start the process all. And we've done this 2 or 3 times with this particular project, yeah.
Because I think, Molly, you're saying that you've seen vehicles back over there and working on it.
No, I just was hoping the project would have success and that.
He's tried it several times, it just, he'll get so far, and I don't know.
I wish the people success. I just didn't.
But I have seen trucks out there that look like electric trucks and plumbing trucks and stuff like that out working, so.
Okay.
Yeah, all the plumbing's in it, the grease trap, I mean, he just stopped.
Any other subjects? All right, next item is boards and commission minutes. And we have Main Street Advisory Board minutes, Greenville Board of Development minutes, and Charter Review Committee minutes. Anybody have any questions or comments on what's been submitted? And the drug-free Greenville third quarter report. Daniel, I don't believe we have anything for executive session.
No, sir.
Then at 7:02, meeting is adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for attending.
We live in a world of technology. We're always connected. Everything is based on technology. What do you do when your technology breaks down? You call Digital Solutions. Located on Wesley Street in Greenville, Digital Solutions Technology Partners is there to get you fixed up. From business support to home computer repair, Digital Solutions Technology Partners will get your tech issues resolved. Visit us online at www.techresolve.com or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/DSTPI. You can call our office at 903-259-6418.